So I guess what we will do is start with our usual preamble as the beginning of Norton Conservation, Town of Norton Conservation Commission meeting on May 9th, 2022, beginning now at 6:30 p.m. Dan, if you could read the preamble, and then we'll introduce the members of the commission that are participating now.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. Members of the public attending this public hearing virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by raising virtually or pressing *9 if participating by phone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Norton Cable website, www.nortonmediacenter.org, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of meetings as soon as possible after the meeting.
All right, thank you, Dan. So members participating tonight, first we have John Thomas, our Conservation Director, and I'm scanning the list here.
She's going to be joining in a little bit.
Okay, so Megan Harrop is our assistant. She will be in the meeting shortly. I'm Julian Kadish, Chair. We have Lisa Carrozza, Vice Chair. Ron O'Reilly, Tamara West, Mark Fernandez, Dan Pearson, and let's see, have I missed anybody? 2, 4, 6.
Carrie's the only one that's going to be absent.
Yes. Okay, so Carrie is unable to join tonight. So first item on our business is Island Brook, file number 250-983, concerning discussion and deliberation on a project. We may need to introduce a little bit of history here. So do we have a representative of that project? Good
evening,
Mark,
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mark.
Great. So my name is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. We are the wetlands consultants that have been working on this project called Island Brook. So a little bit of history. So this is a subdivision off of East Main Street near the town hall, right near the Rumford River. And this project was a subdivision with 56 homes that was denied by the commission under the Wetlands Protection Act. Principally for stormwater concerns that were reviewed by Chesia and other concerns that were raised by the commission at that time. Since that denial, the applicant filed a superseding order of conditions request with Mass DEP. Mass DEP processed that, had comments, and applicant made revisions in that process. There was still a lot of confusion. There was a transfer of DEP representatives that were handling the appeal. And so the project was eventually denied for an SOC by Mass DEP. The applicant has since then appealed to an adjudicatory hearing. And since that was requested, the applicant's team, Mass DEP and Chesia, have been in settlement discussions for the project. And I submitted a letter, which I'm hoping John circulated, which was dated May 5th of 2022, which listed the current project documents along with a list of major plan changes that occurred as part of Mass DEP's review, which were all significant, particularly including the reduction of the project by 4 houses. If I'm able to share my screen, I'd like to pull up the current grading plans just to kind of walk the commission through that list of plan changes so the commission is up to speed on where things stand.
You have ability to share your screen, Mark.
Great. Thank you so much. So this is the west side of the project. So here to the south is East Main Street here. The Rumford River is just to the south of the plan right here. You can actually see a little bit of the bank of the river right here. There's a second perennial river that comes in here and then turns off to the north. And then you have an intermittent stream that goes up to a wetland system over here. There's also an intermittent stream that's currently culverted right here, and it goes up into a wetland system here and then wraps around the east side of the site. So going through the project, so there was a reduction of 4 lots from 56 units down to 52, and that occurred, I'm going to go to the second sheet, principally on the east and north end of the site, which was on this side here. So there used to be 5 units over here. There used to be a unit in here, and there used to be another unit over here. And as part of the project's revisions with regards to working near the vernal pools and Mass DEP's comments with regards to setbacks, we reduced the units in this area here, pulled work back in these areas here to reduce those units. So the original lots were 14, 19, 20, and 21. In addition to that, because of those reductions, there was also revisions to the limit of work behind these lots here, which were lots 14 to 17. In addition, work on lots 6, 7, 11, 12, 16, 17 no longer have work in the 25-foot buffer zone to the wetlands. Further on, as part of the process in the stormwater design, the challenge is there was an existing culvert which was actually restricting the wetland system along East Main Street. And so there was back and forth with Mass DEP about what was the best way can we improve that to a stream crossing standard box culvert? And is that change going to actually impact the wetlands because we're actually improving the crossing and making it larger? And so part of that was submitting additional calculations to Mass DEP, and Chesty had to review whether or not a box culvert was a significant change to the hydrology. And that culvert was a major issue under the commission's denial just because of the way the flooding was being impacted just because of trying to improve that culvert. But the main change is now that this existing 30-inch culvert is now going to be a 3.5 tall by 12-foot box culvert. So a 3.5 feet tall, 12 feet wide box culvert. The skylights that were originally proposed are going to be removed because it now has stream crossing standards, so there's enough light to pass through the structure itself. And the original stream restoration that was proposed, downgrading of the front entrance roadway, is still in place. So that was a significant improvement there. The water quality swale at the front of the site was moved from the east side of the roadway to the west side of the roadway, and that was mainly just to maintain hydrology because we wanted to balance hydrology across the site to the Rumford River, and so having it on this side of the culvert versus this side of the roadway did change that, and so that was part of the review. In addition, the wetland line, because it's been many years on this project, the wetland line was reviewed along with the vernal pool flagging. So that was reviewed by Mass DEP as part of this process. There was a reduction in wetland impacts from 790 square feet down to 170 square feet of permanent impacts. Basin 1 and Basin 2 also saw reductions in work. So this is Basin 1 right here, where work was tightened in the buffer zone to basically all work is no longer within 100 feet of a vernal pool, whether it's potential or certified. And then Basin 2 is over here. Again, work was tightened up to maintain 100 feet of setback from the certified vernal pool. Addition, there was reconfiguration of the other basins in small ways, changing of grades just to respond to comments by DEP about some of the way the stormwater was flowing and make sure that discharges and volumes were being maintained. And then finally, basically, there were some minor roadway elevation changes that occurred, which these plans would be hard to tell, but there were some just minor changes, but they did occur. And then there was additional work to pull back work from this isolated wetland right here. So this isolated wetland is no longer being impacted in any way. And then this isolated wetland is still being proposed to be impacted, and Mass DEP is making that clear in the settlement discussions. And the purpose of this the settlements is to prepare a final order of conditions. Last thing was there was an update to the Riverfront Area Invasive Species Management and Restoration Plan, which was principally put together as part of working with Natural Heritage, which has endangered species freshwater mussels mapped within the Rumford River. And so part of that work is improving the riverfront area in the area of the actual endangered species habitat that's mapped by Natural Heritage. And that was updated principally to reflect the updated plans, because the ISMP was using the old site plans. And so we updated that to actually reflect the current site plans, which are before Mass DEP. And Natural Heritage has also had a chance to review those plans. As part of this whole process, from Chesia, who was the stormwater reviewer for the commission, has been part of the review process. He's providing comments to Mass DEP. DEP has been taking those into account. DEP has requested revisions, and at this point, the applicant has provided responses and adequate revisions to Mass DEP, and we believe Chesia to allow them to sign off on the project. So at this point, there's no other issues that they currently have. And then the purpose was to present this update to the commission so that the commission could be up to speed on it, and again, provide any other further comments that they need to provide to Mass DEP before Mass DEP decides on issuing a final order of conditions.
All right. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the commission?
John Thomas, when did we receive these plans for review and comment? I mean, I assume we did officially. Oh, we should probably let our counsel speak as well.
Yeah, I would let Nathaniel take answer all these questions for us.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure if all members of the commission were even with us when the commission last saw this project. I was looking at my files. It was January of 2018, so 4 years ago. So it has certainly been a while. I've been serving as a special town counsel, so counsel for the commission on this. I recall meeting many of you at the site visit the DEP held for the SOC back in, must have been sometime in 2019. Anyways, yes, so where we are at this point, Mark has given a good overview of the changes in the project that have come about due to John's comments, actually both John's, John Thomas and John Chesia's comments, as well as DEP's comments. And we are, at this point, we are waiting for DEP to issue a draft final order of conditions that would be issued for everyone to review and approve, and that's not ready yet. We're still waiting for DEP. We're not quite sure what the status is, but that would incorporate the proposed conditions. We will include a condition about the 25, keeping things as far as possible from the 25-foot buffer zone, which is really a local requirement. It's not a DEP requirement, but the applicant and DEP are willing to accommodate a condition that alludes to that. So that's where we are overall. So you'll see me again, maybe 2 weeks and 4 weeks when we have all that paperwork, and we will certainly get that paperwork to the commission much earlier than you got these plans today. My apologies. The applicant's team had sent them over Friday morning. I was tied up Friday morning and didn't send them to John Thomas until after the commission office closed on Friday afternoon. But even so, that's not a lot of time for you to do that. So you're not being asked to give your final blessing on these plans tonight, but if you have any comments based on what you've heard and what you have been able to review, it would be helpful to hear them now just to move the process along. So if anyone has questions about the process or what's next, I'm happy to answer that. And I guess I should turn to John Thomas and say, did I forget anything or did you want to add any more for the commission or for context?
I mean, I think you handled that nicely. Thank you, Nathaniel.
And I would say I have a comment, but I'm going to ask other members of the commission who were also involved with this. And I think we have Ron, Lisa, and Dan, I think, as well as myself. were on the commission at that time. So if any of you have comments you'd like to make, why don't you go ahead and do that? And I just have a brief comment.
So I would like the opportunity to review these plans. At zero opportunity. I mean, Nathaniel, is this just a matter of DEP not rubber stamping, but just issuing an order with, are they going to consider any comments that the Conservation Commission has?
Yeah, I believe yes, I think they would. I think the parties feel that, John has been doing a great job reviewing things on behalf of the commission, but with the understanding, of course, that the commission itself hasn't reviewed these. So yes, okay. Comments would be welcome. And
okay, I'd like to receive a set of plans as soon as possible. In the
sure,
meantime,
I believe there was a link in the email that I forwarded. There should be a link for the plans, or are you asking for a hard copy?
Hard copy is best.
I can have hard copies made.
Okay, so can somebody post the plans for a minute? I just want to talk about a few things. One is that you mentioned some improvement with that NESHAP asked for. Is that work shown on these plans?
You mean regards to natural heritage?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the work is not shown on these plans. It's actually shown in a separate document. The document is called, sorry, I'm just making sure I'm citing the right document here. I'm just, I'll just read here. So it's called Riverfront Area Invasive Species Management Plan by Goddard Consulting, dated January 7th of 2022. And just so the commission knows, John Chessie has had these plans since January of this year. So he's seen them for quite a while. So we know the commission may not have gotten them right away, but John has had these plans since January.
Mm-hmm. So is that invasive species management plan, I assume it's a written narrative as well as plans?
Correct. There's a written narrative along with a plan of what's happening with the plantings, and it overlays this plan actually, and then has plantings shown where they're being installed.
Okay, Nathaniel, in your opinion, should that plan be part of this set?
I guess it's really a natural heritage requirement, but to the extent that the commission thinks that it's helpful for wildlife habitat mitigation, certainly it could be part of this, included in this plan set.
Right. I mean, the work is occurring within our jurisdiction, yet I'm not seeing it on here. So I'm not ready to say, yeah, it looks good until I see that plan as well.
Well, I think we should also talk about jurisdictional authority here too. I think it's important to understand that. So Nathaniel, do you want to, advise the commission on kind of what authority they have for this project?
Sure. Well, I guess, Lisa's point is well taken. Although it's work required by natural heritage, it is occurring within the commission's jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act. So I guess the design and the goals of the work, I guess, are set by natural heritage under the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act, sure. But work is happening within the riverfront area, if I'm remembering the plan correctly, within the buffer zones. So certainly the commission should, can certainly, take a look at it and comment as a party to this proceeding.
Right. Thank you.
So if I could get a copy of that as well. And then if we could go back to the plan for a second, the only thing that caught my eye was some of the, you mentioned that most places were taken out of the 25-foot, yet you seem to have some grading on the northwest side of the road into the 25-foot. I'm just wondering if you... So I noted which lots had work reduced. So there was areas originally under the denial that the commission wanted restored in the 25-foot buffer because of grading and disturbance. Those areas were all pulled back, but there's certain areas that it's impossible to pull outside the 25-foot and make the project accessible in the sense of to access the front of the site, to maintain work outside the inner riparian zone, which is a goal of the riverfront standards. You have to work in the 25-foot buffer to cross this entrance right here. Yep.
So there's
I'm with you. I'm asking about a specific location though. So
again,
right here, a retaining wall on that road. I mean, I get you have to make that crossing. So
there are retaining walls on both sides of this wall.
Yep, not talking about here. If you listen for 1 second, follow the road, northwest side, you're showing grading in the 25 foot. And I'm just wondering, did you try to put a wall up there?
I don't, so which, are you, is it on the other sheet? I don't
Don't
see,
know.
I don't see a road on this,
Probably on the, yep, it's probably on the other sheet.
All right, so I'll go over here. I'm glad to show it. I mean, I am confident that there's no other 25-foot buffer on this whole loop. So
Right, yeah, right. Yeah, if you just zoom in right there, northwest, right by flag, other side.
other side.
That's northwest, other side.
So northwest is over here. So
The
oh,
road
yeah,
is-
you're right. You're right. There is some grading right there in the 25 foot. Yep, and that's
Right.
that's original. That's close to original. I mean, we pulled back work along this whole
So
side.
what I'm asking is if anybody considered putting a wall up there to eliminate the work in the 25 foot.
Yeah, we've never been.
Yeah,
So
all I'm saying is you will
Yeah.
see that as one of my comments to DEP
understood.
to minimize impacts. So those are the types of things I'll be looking for in this plan set, so. Okay,
May I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
When we have the revised, or when we get a copy of these plans, could we have the 25, et cetera, line delineated perhaps a little more clearly? I don't know, with a highlighter or something. 25,
Dana, I can highlight the plans for us and get the
Okay.
25.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think at least it kind of emphasized in detail what I was going to say in general, and that was that the difficulties we had with this project, the suggestion was to reduce the number of house lots and make adjustments that would address the concerns of the commission. And so this new plan does do that. So I am much more comfortable with this. And I think, Lisa has drilled down on the details effectively. And I think that will distill our specific comments back to DEP. But I personally think this is an improvement. And I think that would be part of my feedback. So we can go ahead with any comments from any audience. I don't know if I don't see any hands up, but again, as is the practice with these Zoom meetings, if you go to the reaction button, there is an option to raise your hand, or you can just put your mic off mute and ask your questions. But I don't see any questions. So unless there are other specific items, questions to be addressed, I think we can, this is not a regular hearing. This is just an open discussion. Is that correct, John? So we don't vote to continue this at a later date, but I think once we have plans to review and specific comments to feedback, then we can have an additional discussion if needed.
Yeah, this was basically a preliminary discussion to kind of set the stage for the commission of what to expect moving forward, because we're still waiting on DEP's draft order. And then once we have a draft order, we can kind of see what their conditions are, and whether we have any comments regarding the conditions, then I was kind of waiting until were more finalized to kind of have to go back and forth, because that's kind of been what's been delaying this. So I'd rather kind of get a good bare bones kind of status for this, for the commission to kind of review a thorough review in good detail for them and not waste anyone's time.
so Nathaniel, how long do we have to get comments back to DEP?
I think at this point, well, as a practical matter, it seems the DEP's counsel is on vacation for the next two and a half weeks, so he won't that's who we provide comments through. So you probably have 2 weeks.
Okay,
at
that's
least
good.
would be, is that workable
Yeah.
for you? Okay, great. So that'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, so you could send them to John, and then John can route them to me, and I'll route them to DEP.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
you say that those plans have been made available to the commission? The only thing I'm seeing is the summary of plan changes.
The plan should have been uploaded. I'll have Megan upload those.
Okay.
All right, very good. So if there's no further discussion, we can close the discussion on this item and expect a further discussion on the 23rd of May, which is our next meeting. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next item.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
Julian, you're on mute.
Julian, sorry, you're muted.
How did I get muted? But anyway, things happen.
That was me, sorry. I muted when someone left, it bumped you up.
Ah, okay. Never know what comes flying your way, right? All right, so our next item is voting on the signer for executive session with chair and vice chair are not present. So is this something we can bump to the end of the meeting, or should we do it now?
It was part of new business, but because of some scheduling things for our legal counsel, I just kept it in there, but we can push it if you need to.
Well, I'll do whatever. I mean, this, with their current issue, I really don't participate in that item, but in general, yes, we can go ahead and vote for a member who could sign the minutes, and that can be a quick item. So do we have any volunteers who want to step forward and be responsible for signing those minutes?
I'll volunteer.
All right, so John, do we need a motion and a vote to seal that?
That would be preferred. Thank you.
So, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was just going to say, well, as long as we're doing that, I also, if Carrie is not available, I can also come in on a weekly basis to sign, bills and so forth.
All right, anybody want to roll that into a motion that we can second and vote on?
I will be, as I'm available, which is probably just about all, to come in and sign. Oh, you want a motion?
I'll second.
All right, I think we got a motion made by Dan and seconded by Lisa. So we're going to do a roll call vote, beginning with Mark and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ron and Dan.
Aye.
And Lisa, and I'll throw in an aye.
Aye.
All right, so the motion carries, and our next item is,
Can I just ask for clarification? Was that for Dan and Kerry?
that was for
I think it
Dan.
was just for
Just Dan.
Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just for Dan.
I think that part of the motion was that Dan can sign, Carrie now signs for the bills, is that correct?
Yes.
So that motion included that Dan can also sign for the bills when Carrie is not available. So I think we're all set with that. And our next item is new public hearings It's an ANRAD for file number 250-1102, South Washington Street. And do we have a representative of the applicant?
Here.
Please introduce yourself and give us a summary.
I'm Roy Messier with ES&M. This property is located on South Washington Street, approximately 5 acres. The wetlands were delineated by ECR, Brad Holmes. And
Do you have a plan you can share with us?
Roy, you have the ability to share your screen.
I'm actually home. I don't have the plans loaded on my home laptop. I'm sorry.
So give me 1 second.
So while we're looking for that, for the record, I have to recuse from this public hearing.
Okay, so noted.
Just take a second, sorry.
Yeah, and while that's happening, I can describe this as a 5-acre parcel up against the town line with Taunton on South Washington Street, and it is a portion of the Norton Commerce Center project. Is that a fair summary or not?
Correct.
Okay.
Can everyone see the screen?
Yeah, no.
We can. I can see it. Has everybody got it?
It just says John Thomas. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yep.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right, Roy, are you all set? Can you see that screen?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, why don't you go ahead?
So you can see the flags on the westerly side of the property. They were delineated by ECR on March 18th, 2022, surveyed in by Hamlin surveyors. And the property owner is looking, to have John Thomas confirm the flagging boundary.
And I have walked the perimeter. I have looked at all these wetland flags. It's a bottom of slope. It's next to a inundated wetland, and it was a nice delineation. I didn't have to change any flags as they were all pretty conservative. And yeah, it was just the series. I think it was an A flag and then a couple F series and I think 3 or 4 E series flag series. But it was fairly decent for the delineation, and I am confident that the area conforms to the Wetlands Protection Act and also the delineation manual that DEP provides.
Okay, now normally we don't comment on what development is coming here, but
yes,
we did provide as one of the plans the setback and the erosion control measures. So I'm assuming we're going to be expecting another filing in the future on what's going on with this.
Correct. Right. Currently, the owner is looking just to clear some of the site. None of the large trees, just some of the brush and vegetation. For future development.
Any questions from any members of the commission?
So sorry, Julian, just a comment for the commission is that I've been in talks with the landowner and also the applicant with this project, and they are aware that, for instance, any clearing without a permit may trigger the need for a stormwater permit. So they are aware of that. And, I think they'll potentially be coming in for a notice of intent application if they feel that the project will involve work within the buffer zone to this resource area, Joe. But that's not part of this permit. I just wanted to make that clarification.
Right, and that clearing activity even applies to upland areas outside the buffer?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so this seems rather well demarcated in that it's there's a kind of a steep bank and it's well defined as to exactly where the boundary is. So I'm assuming this is something we can close and proceed with.
I have generated a draft order for the commission's review. I had one comment from Lisa that I have taken into consideration and had changed. So that's it.
All right. So I don't see any hands up, but if anybody in the audience has a comment or question, just take your mic off mute and ask it. Otherwise, we are going to proceed to a motion to close the ANRAD hearing. So seeing no hands and hearing no questions, we'll proceed looking for a motion to close the public hearing for file number 250-1102.
So moved.
Looking for a second.
Second.
We have a motion made by Dan Pearson, seconded by Ron O'Reilly, to close public hearing for file number 250-1102. And a roll call vote, starting with Mark and Thomas.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ron and Dan.
Aye.
And Lisa, I believe, is abstaining. And I will throw in an aye. So the motion carries. And we can deal with the ANRAD order later. And now we can move on to request for determination of applicability for determination number 1121, a new public hearing for 127 South Worcester Street. Do we have a representative of the applicant?
I'm here. My name's Peter Lavoie. I work with Landmark Site Design.
Peter, you have screen sharing capabilities.
Okay, I'll try. Okay, good evening, everyone. Like I said before, my name's Peter Lavoie. I'm here tonight representing Mark Mason, who is the owner of 127 South Worcester Street. We have an existing 3-bedroom house that flows into a cesspool in the backyard that has failed. And we are proposing a Presby system in the front yard, which is outside of the 100-foot buffer. The issue was the septic tank was supposed to be in the front, but because of the electric panel in the back right corner, we couldn't move the sewer from the back to the front. So we had to put the septic tank in the backyard and have it come around the house to the new leach field. The septic tank is roughly 80 feet from the wetlands. We do have wattles in the backyard for some minor grading in the backyard. And that's basically it.
So this is a pumped system or not? I mean, I can't tell from the grade.
No, it's gravity system. It's a gravity system, and because of the Presby, we can be closer to groundwater. So we have the ability to take the invert in the back and direct it to the front. So it is not a pump system. It is a gravity system.
So you have two solid lines coming out of the septic tank and attaching to the distribution box. So I don't understand this, if you can explain.
So in a Presby design, you need a vent, a high vent and a low vent. So we have a low vent to the left-hand side of the property over near the tree. So one line is for liquid going into the D box, and the other line is a vent line that goes back to the septic tank that attaches to the vent in the house. So we're using the high vent in the house as our high vent, and we have a low vent in the front yard. So there's only one liquid line leaving that tank.
Okay. And then I think the liquid line had a sleeve in the region of the water line. Is that correct?
That is correct. So on 10 feet on both sides where the septic line crosses the water line, I need to enclose that with a sleeve so no effluent can get to the water line.
And the only other question is, you have the driveway illustrated, and you have, is it a bit of a mound there? I mean, is that going to affect the driveway? Not that
The driveway is going to be relocated to the left of the field, so the driveway would not go over the field. There is a very small minor hump, but it's not dramatic.
All right, and that of course is not really a conservation issue. That's more Board of Health, but it was just from my curiosity of trying to read the plan there. And so do we have any questions from members of the commission? And if not, any questions in the audience about this project? So, John, this appears to be very straightforward with regard to conservation jurisdiction. I'm assuming we are able to close this. Is that correct?
At the discretion of the commission, yes.
So unless there are further comments from commission members, we can consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for file DET 1121 for 127 South Worcester.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Lisa Carrozza, seconded by Dan Pearson, to close the public hearing for determination number 1121. Again, a roll call vote, starting with Mark and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ron and Dan.
Aye.
And Lisa and myself.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so the motion carries. I think we can consider this as kind of a straightforward -3, which means assuming it's carried out according to plan, there is no need to file a notice of intent. So if somebody wants to offer a quick motion on that, we can proceed.
I'll make the motion to issue a negative determination, a -3 for file 1121.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion made by Lisa and seconded by Mark. Again, roll call vote, starting with Tama and Ron.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark and Dan.
Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa and
Aye.
I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries. So just for the applicant, negative determinations means after a 10-day appeal period, you can proceed. The determination will be issued, but you're bound by the activity described on your plan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next item is determination number 1122, request for determination, 40 Howard Street, Wheaton College, concerning a proposed project to install a drainage pipe that will tie into an existing catch basin within 100 feet of wetlands. Do we have a representative of the applicant for this project?
Hi, yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Horgan with Fuller Engineering, representing Wheaton College for this project.
Alex, you have screen sharing capabilities.
All right, why don't you go ahead and describe the project?
Great, thank you, everyone. So we're before you today with some minor drainage improvements on Wheaton College. We can all see that screen just to orient everyone a little bit, these improvements are on the Wheaton College
It's not
campus.
quite there yet. Yeah, the image hasn't appeared yet. Okay, there we have it.
Got it. Okay. These drainage improvements are going to be on Wheaton College campus, kind of orienting yourself here right next to Gebby Hall, running down this access drive right by the old Science Center, which was actually before the commission a few years ago for an NOI, and the wetlands that were delineated with that NOI and those plan approvals are the wetlands that are shown on our project where the work will be done. The overall plan proposes to install some additional drainage pipes, basically to help with some flooding issues around Gebby Hall that they have in existing conditions. There's an existing pump station that these pipes will be tying into to help outfall water in larger storm events and drain down to the existing wetland area. The reason we are before you today is because we will be having some minor work within that 100-foot wetland buffer. There's an existing catch basin, roughly 4.5 feet inside the 100-foot buffer zone that we'll be tying into with a proposed pipe. There will be no grading changes of any kind within this buffer zone and no additional structures, just tying in our proposed pipe to this existing structure. And the drainage patterns will remain the same as they do in the existing conditions, with this water ultimately outflowing to these existing wetlands. And then additionally, just for the project itself, we're proposing a little bit of grading changes up here to help with some more positive drainage. And then also in this plan set, we've provided minimal erosion control devices for this proposed work as well, compost filter sock, as well as inlet protection. So before you today, hoping that this information is sufficient and we'll need no additional filings to get this proposed work underway.
Okay. So John, this almost to me seems like something that can be, could be handled with an administrative decision, but did they just come before you with the application? Is that what happened here?
Well, given Wheaton's track record of always filing permits, I thought that, maybe they should keep going. No, I think I wasn't part of all the original projects and the wetlands resource area. So, I mean, this is technically within the jurisdiction of the Concom. If the commission feels that these sort of projects to this nature are worthy of administrative approval, I'm more than happy to do so. That way the commission doesn't need to see these sort of projects.
All right, that's fine. It just, I mean, I'm certainly comfortable with this application, but I'm also comfortable with saying I've seen enough, unless there are questions among members of the commission that would need further information. So anybody have a question about this?
So Alex, I was just wondering, what is it that's ponding right now? If you could just zoom in. So what are you trying to alleviate the flooding from? Is it a parking area? Is it a low spot in the lawn? Or can you just describe that?
Sure. So there's an existing pump station here that's collecting water, and the issue they're having now, you can kind of see some of these existing grading, is actually some ponding issues up towards the building and these door locations. So the idea is to kind of regrade slightly to really get this positive drainage away from the building. You can see you can do a little grading within these ADA spaces as well, which are shown here. And this is just a little bit close up of the grading plan to really help with that drainage.
So it's flooding both, looks like maybe a lawn and some parking?
I think the main issue is within the lawn and these door locations here. We're just going through to make sure that this ADA is up to code while we're doing this work.
Okay, and does that line currently have any stormwater quality features on it? Are there any water quality structures or?
I do not know. I think we would have to do further investigation. I just know that there's a pump station there. I don't know that we had it picked up.
All right, that's fine. I mean, it's a short run. It's hard to tell what it's taking water from, but is that collection, what is the pump station collecting? Is it campus-wide stuff or, you know?
I do not know the full extent of that pump station.
I can jump in on that one. My name's Zach Richards. I'm the project manager and engineer record on this one. So it's an area that you can see in the distance, there's actually a small, catch basin structure. There's a small trench drain shown on the upper left-hand corner of that grassed area that tie into that structure. And if you were to look at an aerial, there's kind of there's a lawn area and some pavement basically between buildings there that tie into that structure. So it's a little bit of a combination of some roof runoff and some small paved areas, but mostly lawn area that again collects there and just ponds because it has nowhere to overflow. And it's really during the large storm events that they're running into issues because of both the way the grading's done in that area and then just I guess the size of the pump there during extreme storm events that they've run into some flooding issues as we get more and more extreme events. So I don't think there's any big water quality treatment, but again it's mostly grassed. I'd be happy to have we could add a hood on the outlet pipe that we're putting in there as an extra measure is kind of an easy add for treatment. And then I know where we're tying in, again, this as kind of an overflow during large events. That existing catch basin has a hood as well downstream. So then it's kind of going into another deep sump structure with the hood.
Okay, so it doesn't seem like it's well, I don't want to say de minimis, but not a significant pollutant generating flows.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, any additional questions on this request for determination? So it appears this is something we can go ahead and close. Is that your opinion, John?
Yes, it's my opinion that the commission at their discretion can close this.
And it sounds like we can also consider a negative determination vote on this as well. So first, we need a motion to close for determination 1122 concerning 40 Howard Street, Wheaton College.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion made by Lisa, seconded by Dan to close public hearing for determination number 1122. Again, a roll call vote starting with Ron and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark and Dan.
Aye.
And Lisa.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the hearing is closed. We can consider a motion potentially for a negative determination.
Oh, guess that would be me. I was unmuted. I'll make a motion to issue a -3 for file number DET 1122.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by?
Second.
That would be seconded by Mark Fernandez. So again, roll call vote starting with Mark and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ron and Dan.
Aye.
And Lisa?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries for a negative determination, which means you can carry out the project assuming it is done as illustrated on the plan. So thank you guys for coming tonight.
Great. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Our next item is goes to continued public hearings, and first up is file number DEP file 250-1070 concerning a notice of intent for 0 rear Eddy Street for Wyandotte Share Corporation. My agenda states they have requested a continuance to June 13th.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue 250-1070 to June 13th.
Motion made by Dan and seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. So roll call vote, starting with Tama and Ron.
Aye.
Tama, you're on mute, but I think you said aye. Okay. And Mark and Dan
Aye.
Aye.
and Lisa,
Aye.
and I'll throw in an aye. So the file, hearing for file number 250-1070 has been continued until June 13th. And our next item is file number DEP 250-1093, notice of intent for 70 Oak Street. So no new material received, but I don't see a request.
They requested a continuance this morning for 2 weeks out. So it's not going to be the next meeting, but the one after that. I can't remember which one that is.
So the next meeting is the 23rd of May, and then we have.
Yeah, it's June 13th.
June 13th, yes.
All right. We can
I'll make a
consider-
motion to continue public hearing for file 250-10093 to the June 13th public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion made by Lisa, seconded by Dan for a continuation to June 13th. Roll call vote, starting with Tama and Ron,
Aye.
Aye.
and Lisa and Dan.
Aye.
Lisa?
Oh, I said aye.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Sorry.
And we have Mark,
Aye.
and I'll throw in an aye. So that hearing is continued until June 13th. And our next item is file number 250-1096, which is a notice, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 93 Mansfield Avenue, 0 Mansfield Avenue, and 0 Reservoir Street. So new material has been received. Do we have a representative tonight, or no request for continuation yet? Is that right?
How's it going? My name's Cameron Campbell. I'm with DeSelberg Sala, the civil engineers for the project. And I can share my screen real quickly with you guys if you'd like.
Very good.
You have sharing capabilities, Cameron.
Yep. Can you all see that?
Yes.
We can.
So you guys saw this, I believe, back in February. And there was a site walk with John and.
Better that you understand that as you move forward and progress.
Yeah, and we understand the calculation was purely just to do the ILSF. We understand the matter that it can be a vernal pool, and that has its own limitations and buffer zones and whatnot.
Right. So I just wanted to make that, clear to the commission that I think that this pool, based on my observations, is definitely a certifiable vernal pool under natural heritage criteria.
So John, then I think what you're leading to is that the finding, we would find that it is, because it doesn't sound like they can provide evidence that it isn't, right? So.
Right. I mean, I have visual confirmation and everything like that. So, I mean, I would say that it is a certifiable vernal pool. Whether the applicant wants to certify it, that's up to the commission and also the applicant to make that determination. I think it's important to protect the home of a lot of these critters from the environmental perspective. It's a very sensitive resource area. I know the Army Corps of Engineers is going to be interested as they go through the progression of this project and, move forward through the, what they intend to do for this piece of land. But I think it's definitely important, especially since, if they are intending to do some crossings or some wetland impacts, it's all going to play into the factor for kind of protecting this area even more.
So I see your point about spot shots, because for instance, we don't know what happens between, there aren't enough spot shots. So, I mean, we would want to see additional spot shots. I'm looking at between flag AC1 and I don't know what direction that is, but if you're heading towards 113, contour 113, there's a gap there. There's a gap
Here?
between the 113, nope, other inside the vernal pool.
This way.
Yeah. And then there's a gap between the 113 and the 112, because there could be another hole and, that could be deeper in that location. So
we have shots in those locations. It's just there aren't spot grades shown to kind of make it easier to read with the amount of text in
yeah,
the
you're
area.
gonna have to handpick the
Yeah.
ones that show the true, whether it's higher or lower in those gaps. So just don't turn the whole layer on, or just handpick the ones that can fill in those gaps.
Yeah.
And where was there another one? Were there two vernal pools?
So the other one, so I checked on this on Thursday, is there's still about maybe 2 to 2.5 feet of water in the pool, this one right here. And the one to the north, that one is completely basically dried up. I think there might be less than 2 inches of water. So, and I didn't happen to come across any sort of egg masses or tadpoles in that originally anyway. So I'm confident that that one is not a vernal pool. But the one that I had identified within the AC wetland, I definitely believe is, based on my observations.
So John, I guess in this instance, we would defer to you in terms of whether everything's buttoned up. Well, we need more topo for the record.
I think it's important. I think it's important to really, get that plan to really certify that it's not ILSF, and that the way the commission can make that distinction that, it may not be ILSF, therefore, it may not be a locally or state protected resource area, but then also if you're going to write conditions, have it that, for instance, Army Corps of Engineers will get involved at some point. I think it's important to have that within our conditions, that there may be other issuing authorities or other agencies that would need to, they'd need to get approval from for any sort of impacts or disturbance within 100 feet of this known vernal pool.
Yeah, it's still protected under the water quality
Right.
certification regulations under anti-degradation. So yeah. Okay.
All right, so if there are no further questions, it sounds like we still have some outstanding items to be put on the plan. Is that your sense, John, that we need to continue this for that information, or?
I think the plan itself, the flag revisions are accurate. I think it's more so the ILSF distinction and kind of having that all buttoned up to really kind of give the commission the ability to issue a order of resource area delineation for this.
So do you think that would call for a continuation or a closing with it being submitted, or how do we prefer to proceed with that?
I mean, I'll leave that to the discretion of the commission. I don't foresee any sort of, it's just basically proving that, for instance, it's ILSF. So, if it isn't or is, that's still, I don't know if it's going to change based on the calculations, but they did provide the pond summary. And based on that pond summary, it doesn't look like it is. But I need to make sure that if it was, incorrectly mapped, or if it was the contours weren't done right, I don't know how much that would have potentially changed the parameters of that assessment and evaluation.
So we need to continue. I would make a motion that we would continue if there's outstanding information that could make a difference.
All right, just need to clarify, is the applicant comfortable with continuing and resolving this one item?
Yeah, I mean, if it makes you guys comfortable to continue it, and I don't think it'll change much because we're like 6,000 cubic feet below the ILSF. So even if it's like 0.2 feet here or there, I don't think it'll change much in the ILSF calculations. But if it makes you comfortable, we're willing to continue and go to the next.
Right, and you know, potentially there's going to be no loss because assuming everything gets clarified, we can close on next meeting, and it sounds like there's enough information to issue an ANRAD, and we would do that next time.
Thank you.
An ORAD, sorry.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for file number 250-1096 to the May 23rd public hearing.
Second.
And we have a motion made by Lisa, seconded by Dan for a continuation to May 23rd. A roll call vote, starting with Tama Best and Ron.
Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa and Dan.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so we'll see you guys on the 23rd.
Thank you for your time.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is notice of intent, file number 250-1101, 173 South Worcester Street. Do we have a representative of the applicant for that project?
Yes, Rob Marini, a Native Tech, 31 Monroe Street in Lynn. I revised the plan if I'd like to share it.
Go ahead. You have sharing capabilities.
All right. Can you see it okay?
We just see your file list. If you can just click on the 173 and bring it up.
It's easiest just to stop sharing and then share the PDF.
Okay. How's that? Is that okay?
Wait, not quite there yet.
Does that show it?
No. Have we don't share, we don't see the effort to share. So maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How's that?
Well, again, we're just seeing the.
Can you try opening the file? If you open the PDF, you're almost there.
I'm actually just gonna share. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Now we can. Yep.
Okay. The comments last time were to do something with the shed. The shed is in decrepit condition, so we decided to remove the shed, and the sedimentation control wraps around it. We moved the shed, kind of in the future. So it's in the future at the edge of the parking. We slivered down, we narrowed the parking down and have this trench around it. full of stone. And so it's smaller than it was. The shed is being removed. It'll be loam and seeded, and sedimentation control barriers will remain around it. The parking is actually reduced from last time. I talked to the architect and the owner, and there wasn't a need for that much parking. So reduced it. And I added the contour numbers, and there are, just slightly proposed contours angling the drainage in this, keeping it draining down towards, there's a high point, 100.2, drains down, gets to this gravel driveway and parking area, and it just kind of slopes to this drainage trench that surrounds it. Now, the dimension, 48.6 feet to the BVW. This is the center line of the intermittent stream around and around. And it branches off, kind of branches at the western portion of the site, two directions, up towards Worcester Street and down to the south. That's about it. I think this, now by moving the shed, we're out of the 25-foot no disturb zone. Like here. So all the activity, proposed activity, other than removing the shed, which basically, this is basically, the site's filled land. I mean, this is, and that's really the edge of fill is what creates this intermittent stream in the back. It's tell by augering for the soils. It's not virgin soils back here where I was augering. Anyway, they're not increasing the number of bedrooms, so the septic system would remain the same. So it's tightened up from the last plan you saw, and I think we've addressed all the questions from last time. But are there any more?
So, John, you concur the questions have been addressed?
I think the only outstanding items from what I recall at our last meeting was the scenario with the shed, which has been addressed. The labeling for the no 25-foot no disturb has been adjusted. The intermittent stream center line issue was taken care of, it appears. And I don't know, is there anything else I may be missing from any of the members who recall the meeting?
I don't recall anything else. Any other items, questions from members of the commission?
I just want to make sure, so when the shed's removed, well, I'm assuming everything interior to the sediment control line will be loam and seed, including the footprint.
Yeah, any disturbance that's
okay, including
not
the
vegetated.
footprint of
In
the
fact,
shed.
there's some bare ground around the existing shed, but that'll be that gravel material will be replaced by soil that will be hydroseeded. Hydroseed's better because it has deeper roots. A good solid hydroseed, takes a few mowings for it to fill in, but that's better than sod or anything like that. So that'll work.
So is there a note to that effect on this plan somewhere so that if they're?
Nah, I thought of that as after I sent it.
That's all right. I mean, if you can just add one if everything else is okay, just so that
yeah, I could do that.
Have a contractor bidding on it, they'll know what they're putting down.
Yeah, I could do that. Definitely. Okay. That all bare areas, all disturbed areas will be hydroseeded.
Okay. We can include that as a condition as well, John, just in case.
Yeah, I think that's easier.
Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, he might need it for the contractor purposes. If somebody's bidding on this and giving them a quote, they need to see what they're bidding on. So, I mean, in addition to that, I don't have a problem with just him adding a note after the fact if we decide to close.
I could add the note and send the plan back to John.
I think that's a minor change that could get closed this evening.
Yep. I agree.
All right, any further questions? If not, I think we can consider a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for file 250-1101.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Dan. So roll call vote, starting with Lisa and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark and Ron.
Aye.
Aye.
And Dan.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the public hearing for notice of intent file number 250-1101 is closed, and we'll be producing a order of conditions next time with that little note to be added to the plan that you'll provide.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
That ends our public hearings. Our next item on the agenda is issuing an DP file number 250-1099. I guess this would be an ORAD that we're issuing for 68 Leonard Street. And I just have really a point of information question. The only thing I saw on this, the version I got at least, in item 6, April is missing the R. But when we issue this, it always goes along with the location. For example, the map, in this case, map 11, parcel 24, is that correct? Because it's part of your special conditions never mentions the location. And with some of these that don't have a street address, the only way to identify it is with our map and parcel number. So,
Julian, in the header has.
right. Well, so my question is, the header always goes along with what actually gets issued. Is that correct, John?
That's correct.
Yeah, we usually don't put the engineering company in the header, but we usually just put the.
Right, but there was one where there was no, for example, in our findings, there's no location of the project, but as long as it's always attached to the header, then there would be no problem with that.
So I can either do two of things. I can do all that information in one bullet item to start, or I can just remove the header entirely.
No, I don't. I just needed clarification that the header is part of the entire paperwork and it never gets separated.
That's how I send it out.
Okay. All right. And anybody have any other notations other than that spelling error on the?
Lisa had a comment that I adjusted.
And just two other typos, number 5 delineating and number 8 solely.
Yeah, thank you. We're having issues with some wordsmithing. So I've
Fair enough.
made sure, because my computer for some reason had all sorts of wordsmithing turned off. So I don't know why that was.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. I'm not perfect, but I try.
We
All right,
motion to. Oh.
Well, I didn't. Number 5, where are these words that?
Delineating is spelt wrong. I corrected it after seeing that it was incorrect.
Oh,
so you have an outdated version.
That. Okay.
I was gonna say, I thought what I read today, delineating was spelled correctly. So.
It's not. Mark is correct.
Well, as no,
good eye, Mark. Good eye.
Good on.
It helps when you have the little red line underneath now, but yeah.
All right, somebody was coming up with a motion.
So I'll make a motion to issue the ORAD for DEP file number 250-1099 for 68 Leonard.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by?
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. So
Aye.
roll call vote, starting with Tama and Lisa,
Aye.
Dan and Mark,
Aye.
Aye.
and Ron.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the ORAD for file number 250-1099 is approved. I think our next item is draft minutes. You'll have to decide if you have quorums to approve the 3:10 and 4:05 executive sessions, but I think we can act on April 11th and April 25th. I did not find anything in my review that I would change. Any other if we talk about April 11th, because I think we have a sufficient quorum for that. Hearing
That
no
might have been,
comments. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, that might have been the version of delineating that I spelled right. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
But for April 11th, any comments on those meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 11th, 2022 meeting minutes as drafted.
Motion made by
Second.
Lisa and seconded by Tama. So again, roll call vote, starting with Tama and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And Dan and Mark
Aye.
Aye.
and Ron.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. Minutes for Monday, April 11th are approved as submitted. For Monday, April 25th, I had, again, no comments. Anybody had corrections or comments?
Nope. I'll make a motion to approve the draft minutes of 4/25/22.
Second.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Tama. Again, roll call vote, starting with Tama and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries. Minutes of Monday, April 25th are approved as submitted. And so unless there are further items, you'll have to go over whether you have quorums for the minutes of the executive session minutes of 3:10 and 4:05. So are we ready for a sign off?
Before you leave, Julian, I just want to bring up that come July, we're going to have to probably meet in person because that's when the governor releases the ability for us to do Zoom. I haven't heard any updates on that. Usually it's last minute anyway. So I just want to be prepared for meeting in person in case we have to. So just think about kind of what our options are, what everyone's comfortable with. Maybe we can try to start doing a hybrid or something like that to begin with. But then we're probably going to have to start meeting in person again at some point, unless told otherwise by the state. So just be aware of that. You know, there are options that we have. We have the library, we have the media center that's over near the Goat City Pub. And we also have Edith Reed. So those are three places that we potentially could hold meetings, and they all have adequate parking and space for us to hold meetings.
So right now, if we consider the library, it'd most likely be Thursday meetings. So it would also change the day we have meetings. So take that into consideration.
Fine with me.
So we can't use town hall as we used to, or is it considered just too small? Or I know we can't do hybrids there, but if we eliminated the Zoom completely?
I mean, I can ask, but it hasn't been one of the options that have been, I guess, pushed for having it upstairs right next to the office. But I can definitely ask.
Well, I guess the question is the sense of town government that we really need to offer a hybrid?
I mean, I know that the planning board's doing it now, and it's one of the options that they have. I mean, we don't need to offer hybrid. We can meet in person. It's at the discretion of the commission, really.
Well, I guess keep us apprised. I certainly am totally comfortable with meeting in person as we used to.
All right. Well, I will definitely see what our options are and be prepared, for the day when Zoom finally comes to an end. But yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever come to an end. We're becoming a Zoom society. So that's fine. And so if there are no further items, I will sign off.
All right. Thank you, Julian.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I'm signing off as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mark.
Good night.
So, let's see. Thursday, March 10th, executive session. We have Tom, Dan, Ron. The only person, well, Carrie is not here, and I was not in attendance, but I think we have a majority, right? We have 1, 2, 3 out of 4, right? So we have majority of those that.
I think you have to have 4 to have a quorum, don't you?
Yeah, I think it has to be 4.
No, isn't it just a majority of those that are in attendance, right?
I'd have to check with Lucia. I remember her saying specifically a meeting needs to have 4 members.
Okay. Then we might be in the same situation for April 5th again. We carry because I wasn't in attendance.
Okay. Yeah, she's sick, so she wasn't able to attend.
All right, we're gonna have to add those, put them on the next agenda then. Try again.
Will do.
All right, so we need a motion to close the public hearing.
You mean the meeting?
Yeah, we're closing, Dan. We're ending. I'm sorry. We're closing. We're ending. 8:05. Ending. Closing. Made by Ron, seconded by Dan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else, John? Yes.
No, that's it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.